Hello everyone, my name is Vivekanand. Welcome to the world of philosophy. Welcome to Topper IS Vijayanagara Bengaluru. Today I have come up with a new series, a new surprise. In this series, I'm going to discuss some of the philosophical concepts, mainly with an objective that to make everyone understand that some of the deeper philosophical concepts, some of the abstract discussions, some of the metaphysical concepts, how they can be applied in our everyday life. Okay, so this is going to be interesting because there is a common notion with respect to philosophy that philosophy is something which is not applicable in our everyday life. Whenever we commonly hear the word philosophy, the first thing that comes to our mind is that something impractical, something unapplicable, something which has nothing to do with our everyday practical life. Okay, this is the common notion that has got ingrained in the minds of the people, and even among the well learned and well educated persons, right? So here I am making these videos with an objective to demystify some of the misconceptions that have already got associated with the people. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting, and I'm just here. I will be convening these discussions in the sense that you can provide your own opinions. Okay, respectfully, peacefully, we can have a good discussion, maybe through the comment sections, or you can even personally contact me if you have some of the contradictory views on these discussions. Okay, and in any way, I feel like many people do need these sorts of discussions in our everyday life, but it is very difficult for them to find like-minded people, right? So I'm assuming that these kinds of discussions would help solving your inner conflicts, and it also helps you improve some of the mental issues if you're going through at smaller level to higher level. Yeah, so basically objective is to provide you the peace. Okay, and whoever takes interest in philosophy and philosophical discussions, they're all purely welcome. I'm welcoming all of you to these discussions, and it doesn't mean that only people with philosophical background need to involve in these discussions. Anybody with a thinking mind, anybody with some sort of rationality, anybody with some sort of faith and logic, they can definitely happily participate in these discussions and can follow me in this new series. So with a lot of intent, I'm starting this series. Hopefully we'll like it, and this will be our first discussion. Yeah, we will make it successful, and definitely it's going to be applicable to each and every individual who is living and who has a conscious thinking mind. Okay, uh, let me hope I have clarified you the objective of this series. The objective is to discuss some of the philosophical concepts, uh, uh, and uh, and to understand how those concepts, no matter how abstract they might sound, how they can be used in our everyday life. Okay, to solve our day-to-day issues, or to, they may not materially solve, but they will help you have a balanced mind, balanced thoughts, and that will indirectly help you in your everyday decisions. Okay, yeah, so the first uh, topic that I'm introducing here is Samkhya philosophy. So today we will discuss how some of the philosophical concepts from Samkhya philosophy or Sankhya Darshana can be used in our everyday life. That will be today's objective. Okay, yes, before getting into the application part of Samkhya philosophy, let me briefly explain what is Samkhya philosophy, so that many of you who do not know what Samkhya philosophy is actually about will have some idea, and they can also participate. So it's simple to understand. Okay, in Samkhya philosophy, there are two types of realities. Okay, so according to Samkhya philosophy, realities are how many? Two realities. There is no one single reality. Rather, there are two types of realities. Number one, they have named it as Prakriti, and number two, they have named it as Purusha. Now, this Prakriti is the materialistic part of existence, and Purusha is spiritualistic part of existence. Like your soul is spiritualistic aspect, the supreme soul, the pure consciousness, that is awareness, consciousness, that intelligence part, that is Purusha, and that Purusha is spiritual part of the existence. Okay, and whereas Prakriti, the first part, is the materialistic cause of this universe, and that Prakriti is uh, the materialistic existence. Like for example, you as an individual is made up of Prakriti as well as Purusha. So your body is what? Prakriti. It is materialistic part. It has matter in that. That is Prakriti. Okay, and your soul, or your self, or that consciousness is the spiritual part. Okay, so we are all combinations of Prakriti and Purusha. We are all combinations of Prakriti and Purusha. Okay, yeah. So originally this Prakriti, before originally this Prakriti materialistic part was in its finest form. When Prakriti, which is the materialistic cause of this universe, was originally in its finest form, there was no creation. There was no creation. It was like that single entity, that one single thing which is smaller than an atom. Okay, it's the most finest form, that is Prakriti. When Prakriti was in its original form, there was no creation at all. Okay, but this Prakriti, when it comes closer to Purusha, when it comes in contact with Purusha, which is the spiritual, which is the pure consciousness, when this Prakriti, materialistic cause of this world or this creation, comes in contact with the spiritual aspect of this world, the Prakriti gets disturbed. Okay, so before this Prakriti was coming in contact with the Purusha, originally it was undisturbed. It was undisturbed. When there was no disturbance in Prakriti, no creation. When there was no disturbance in the Prakriti, there was no creation. Now, because this Prakriti is coming in relation with Purusha in somehow, the Prakriti is getting disturbed and there is a commotion in the bosom of Prakriti. Due to this commotion, due to this disturbance, the Prakriti starts unfolding itself. That means it starts releasing its products, whatever that is already there inside it. So Prakriti itself started modifying and started creating this universe. So the universe, this world that we see, including our body, has come from Prakriti. Okay, in fact, this universe itself is Prakriti. This materialistic universe itself is Prakriti. Hence, your body is Prakriti, because that's the materialistic part. Because the Prakriti itself has transformed into this world, including your body. Okay, hopefully I made you understand this is Prakriti, which is materialistic part. And Purusha is that pure consciousness inside you, is actually not changing. It is there. But somehow, when Prakriti started unfolding itself, unfolding in the sense, Prakriti started releasing its products. Prakriti started creating its products. All these products were already there in the Prakriti. Now they are coming out of the Prakriti. When Prakriti creates its products, when Prakriti starts releasing or starts unfolding itself, in the first product only, the Purusha reflects itself. The Purusha reflects itself in the Prakriti. Okay. When Purusha, which is pure consciousness, reflects itself in Prakriti, the Purusha forgets its true essence and it forgets its independence. And now Purusha is identifying itself with Prakriti. Because Purusha is reflecting itself in Prakriti. Due to that reflection, Purusha has forgotten that it is independent. Now it is identifying that part where it is reflecting. That part is Prakriti. Okay. So that is how Purusha, that is your pure consciousness, has come in bondage with Prakriti. That is your body. Your body is Prakriti and your soul is Purusha. That soul or Purusha has got integrated with your body. And it is forgetting that it is something else from your body. Rather, it is identifying itself with body. Now, whenever I ask you, who are you? Whenever I ask, who are you to anyone, they will say, my name is this, my name is X, my name is Y, whatever that name. My name is Ram, my name is Sham, my name is Kiran, my name is whatever it is. Understanding this, whereby the name is the identity with that name is related to the body, right? The body. But Purusha is not actually the body. Purusha is forgetting and forgetting itself, and Purusha is under the misconception that Purusha itself is body. But in reality, Purusha is different, Prakriti is different. Understand this? This is how Purusha is in bondage with the Prakriti. Now, let me tell you what Prakriti is. Prakriti is your body, and also the entire universe, materialistic universe is Prakriti, including your body. And remember that your mind is also Prakriti. Your mind is not Purusha. Your mind, which is collection of thoughts, ideas, right? Your mind is collection of thoughts, a big ocean of thoughts, right? So that mind is also Prakriti, a result of Prakriti, evolution of Prakriti. Hence it is Prakriti. Okay. And your intelligence, not intelligence, but intellect or buddhi, which is not exactly the mind. Intellect is a little bit different from your mind. That intellect is also Prakriti. So your intellect or buddhi is Prakriti, your mind is Prakriti, and your body is also Prakriti. Then who are you? You are beyond your body, you are beyond your mind, and you are beyond your intellect, or you are beyond your buddhi. That beyond thing is consciousness, pure consciousness, that is Purusha. You are actually Purusha, but you are thinking, you are your body, you are your mind, and you are your intellect or buddhi. Understand this? This is happening because the pure thing, that is pure consciousness, that is Purusha, is misidentifying, it is wrongly identifying itself with all these things. That Purusha, which is pure consciousness, which is completely independent, which is uncreated, which is not subjected to birth, which is not subjected to death, which is not subjected to changes. So that supreme thing is sending its reflection in Prakriti called body, mind, and intellect, and wrongly identifying that it itself is mind, and it itself is body, and it itself is intellect. That's why it is said that pure consciousness is in bodies. Okay. Now these are all the metaphysical discussions. Okay. So you can tell hundreds of criticisms to this, like, who am I to say this, and how do I know all of these? Who has verified the existence of that pure consciousness? How do I know its characteristics? All these things can be criticized. But my discussion is not on that part. My discussion is by understanding this Samkhya philosophy. Okay, how can we apply this philosophy, these abstract concepts in our everyday life, in our everyday mundane life or everyday activity? How can we use this to improve our mental health? All of this. That's my point. Okay, now because you have understood what Samkhya philosophy is, in essence, in brief, we can have some discussion as to how this understanding is helpful in our everyday life. Okay, so first of all, now you know that your pure consciousness or Purusha is different. That means you are different from your body, your mind, and your intellect. So let's say your mind. So you are actually beyond your mind. When you have this belief that you as a pure consciousness is different from your mind, that this will solve most of your problems. Okay, if you truly have this, if you truly have faith and belief in this understanding, like for example, when you say I am sad, who is sad actually? I is pure consciousness, and sadness is the result of thinking. Thinking is limited to mind. Thinking is limited to mind. Okay, but I have already told you, according to Samkhya philosophy, mind is Prakriti, and you are beyond Prakriti. So here, when I say I am sad, I am this pure consciousness. Sadness is for my mind. So here, sadness is different from me. So hence, it is not actually I am sad, but my mind is sad. My mind is sad, not I am sad. The Prakriti is sad. I am not sad. Then you are realizing a little bit that everything is happening in my mind. So when you know that, when you see your mind as something different from you, you can identify why are you sad, and what is the root cause of that sadness. The root cause of that sadness may be some thoughts, some past experiences, understanding that, or some future apprehensions, future anxiety as to what will happen tomorrow, as to why it has happened tomorrow, why did I take that decision. Because of these reasons you are sad or you are not feeling good. So it's actually you are always good, you are pure consciousness, you are always blissful, just that your mind, due to certain thoughts and certain experiences, is thinking that I am sad. So when you start distinguishing between the I-ness part, the I, the supreme soul is I. Okay, when you start discriminating between the mind and the pure consciousness, it will give some sort of relief, with this understanding that, not only that it will give you relief, but it will also help you to understand that I'm not subjected to these changes. Okay, and in a way, you can, as a third person, you can analyze your own mind. This understanding will mainly help you in analysis part. And when you analyze a thing as an independent entity different from your mind, most of your issues will solve, or you will see the problem to the extent that it troubles you. Otherwise, we get stuck in the cycle. We won't be able to come beyond the cycle of that thought. When we get stuck in the loop of that thought, those thoughts, we will not be able to understand the true measure or true magnitude of the problem of your life. How much valid those fears are, how much valid that feeling of sadness is, that we will never understand unless and until you independently understand your own mind. Okay, but in reality, it may not be possible for you to, like, not may not be, it is mostly not possible for anyone to go beyond their mind and understand yourself. But at least you'll become more aware of the states of your mind, right? You will be more aware of the states of your mind when you think that you are different from your mind. Okay, at least some sense of feeling will generate whereby you will think that my mind is different from me, and that will at least help you to analyze yourself. Again, you're not going beyond your mind. I'm not telling that you go beyond your mind and you'll see your mind as completely a third party or third entity or something different from you. But this understanding will make the mind understand itself. Okay, so with this understanding, analysis part will come. Any issue will be there in your mind, anything which is troubling you will analyze beautifully, not beautifully, sorry for that word, but beautifully can be used there, but yeah, in different sense. But you can analyze your own thoughts critically, layer by layer. You can extract yourself, your own mind. And when you understand your problems exactly they are, it will give you some sort of relief. This is for sure. Most of our problems are due to lack of understanding of our own problems. Like, why are you sad? Why are you feeling anxious? What are you afraid of exactly? What is the root cause of my inner conflicts? So that can be understood only when you understand yourself properly. Okay, so a thought from Samkhya philosophy that you are a Purusha different from Prakriti, that is your mind. Mind is Prakriti, as I told you earlier. When you understand this difference, will help you to distinguish between um, you and your mind, right? And in this way, that will help you to analyze yourself and help solve the issues. Okay, this is one of the ways. Okay, if you have any counter views, you are free to approach me. If you are interested in some such discussions, you are always welcome. Okay. Yeah, second thing, I would like to tell you how this Samkhya philosophy would help you to solve some of the mental health, or some of the mental health issues, or some of the confusions that you have. In practical, it helps you to understand one more thing. This Prakriti, which I'm talking about, Prakriti is materialistic cause of this world. So all the matter, your body, your mind, your body, including your mind and intellect, is Prakriti only. Okay, it is different from soul. Okay, yeah, this Prakriti, everything that is materialistic, originally it is combination of three important gunas. So this is a different thing I'm telling you, new thing I'm telling you, a simple thing. This Prakriti, how it actually looks like is, it is like three gunas. Okay, three gunas got intertwined, got. Okay, so Prakriti is combination of three gunas. Prakriti is not different from these three gunas. Prakriti itself is the combination of these three gunas. Those gunas are sattvic guna, rajasic guna, or sattva guna, rajas guna, and tamas guna. Sattva guna, rajas guna, and tamas guna. These are three gunas. They combine together to form Prakriti. So Prakriti is combination of these three gunas. Where sattva guna is that guna which possesses qualities like, or which produces effects like pleasantness, calmness, tranquility, growth, positiveness. Hence it is indicated by a white color. So in simpler terms, sattva guna gives you feeling of pleasure and calmness and growth. Okay, next, rajas guna. Rajas guna is that guna uh, which produces effects like restlessness, energy, high energy. Okay, always getting busy and with high motives, like a person who is trying to do something in his life and restlessly, unhesitantly working upon a single thing, then it can be said that rajas guna is activating. Okay, so sattva guna produces